Hello, good afternoon. It is Easter Sunday. Welcome back to the board bunker. I got home in time, and oh my goodness gracious me, I guess I said things that might have upset some various people in the United States. I made a point that the United States might actually attack Canada, and my comment feed on my entire YouTube and and Twitter account stream has blown up with people telling me that I need to change my medications, which I should probably do anyways because that's important to keep up with your medical health. I need to get my head out of my ass. I need to stop sucking on China's ding dong. It's interesting the way that this blew up. My original point that seems to have triggered all of this is essentially saying that if you're scared about what's happening in the United States right now from a Canadian perspective, you're absolutely correct in being upset because there's a very good chance that in the future the United States will attack us because they have an idea and a perspective about how they absolutely control us. And yeah, anyways, the messaging online has been like, I think in the last 10 seconds I got about another 13 comments on Twitter, for heaven's sakes. Mostly from bot accounts or Canadian accounts, or people are telling me, if you think that the United States will attack us, you're an idiot and you need to change your medication and you are crazy. And all right, maybe I am crazy. I am absolutely crazy, and I do absolutely have my head duct taped together. That being said, I am still of the frame of mind where I understand how wars work, how you up the tempo and the messaging of the communications and in a country before you engage in kinetic military operations or destructive operations. If we go back to something as old as the 1994 Rwandan genocide, I read all the bloody records and all the transcripts of Radio Rwanda in the lead up to that, because my job working for Romeo Dallaire, Mon Cher Général, was to go through all of his documents and help him understand and look after that, managing that information for the war crimes tribunals and for his papers. I read everything. I read the reports that of the transcripts of Radio Rwanda, daily transcripts, written print downs back in the day because it's old school, but of how a nation conducts a propaganda campaign to gin up a population in order to create a situation where everybody is primed to go out and kill their neighbor. That was Rwanda. The only important thing that I ever learned out of my experience working for General Dallaire, and probably the most functionally important thing I've ever learned in my life from the man, it can happen anywhere. The veneer of civilization is incredibly thin. What happened in Rwanda, what happened in Germany in the 1930s, what is happening in the United States, what has happened and might soon again happen in Canada, these are the base parameters of humanity. You can manipulate people into a situation where they will do horrible, violent things to people that normally they would care about. We have seen this. We have witnessed this in real time in Canada as we watched the United States decline into a condition of insanity and terror. Now, I am not, when I say this, this is not an emotional argument. I am not trying to say Americans are assholes. They're not. Americans are people. Everybody on this rock are people. What we're looking at here are the societal norms that are imposed on people trying to live and struggle with their daily existence that cause them or direct them or manipulate them to do things in a certain direction that benefits others. That is the situation that I see happening right now in the United States, and what I'm seeing in my horrible feed here on Twitter as I look through it, it's like, okay, great. Call me crazy for saying that the United States might invade Canada if I give you the evidence that this is actually in the cards. And by evidence, I would cite the messaging that is coming through social media, the Alberta separatism movement, which has been absolutely astroturfed out of Langley, Virginia. And there are several commentators and several journalists who have, in Canada and the United States, who have directed to this, our attention at this, and have pointed this out. And the messaging and the weaponizing and the tempo of operations against people to warp the perspective of the population. You look at the Canadian Conservative Party messaging over the last 2 or 3 years. That's exactly what you're seeing here. This is Quisling level stuff. And I'm not saying this from an emotional perspective, because it sucks and it's horrible, and I absolutely have no understanding how anybody would for vague monetary or personal gain destroy their entire country and put millions of people into ruin and pain in order to get their way. Apparently, there are people who absolutely think this way. We have them in Canada, we have them in the United States, we have them in every country on the entire planet. So this is not individually directed at the United States. In Canada, though, we are now seeing a maximizing of the tempo of the pacing of the messaging. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I hope I am. Like, in all honesty, I hope I'm just being paranoid about this. But I have been seeing over the last 3 to 5 years, certainly in the last 14 months since Trump has come back into the office, weaponizing of social commentary, which is Canada is broken, Canada is failing, Canada is under threat, nothing works. We're hating the Americans who are our friends, that sort of messaging. I would call this is the Donbass strategy. But this time, I think it's being run out of Langley, Virginia CIA headquarters. But it's the same sort of operation. You're essentially, what you're doing is you're manufacturing consent and preparing the battle space for what you might want to do. Let's hope I'm wrong. Let's hope that the people who are calling me a lunatic asshole for thinking that the United States might ever actually, my God, it's insane that they might actually attack and take over Canada. Why would they do that? We're their best buddies. And it's only the liberals who are hating the United States that is causing all our problems. That messaging is becoming vastly more real, apparent, and intensive in its layout. Maybe the American intelligence community is starting to prep the battle space for post-Iran withdrawal, where the United States is entering a hyperinflationary cycle, and the people are starving, and the people are angry, and the regime wants to maintain stability, and so they're going to look at something to take out all that anger on, the 5 minutes of hate, if you will. And in which case, Canada is an awesome target, because when the United States dollar crashes, when they go into a hyperinflationary debt spiral because the petrodollar ceases to exist and they have to retreat from their empire back to the homeland, they are going to be hurt little puppies who are wanting to lash out at somebody who can make the pain go away. The best, closest, easiest thing to do would be to look at your northern neighbor who's, these maple syrup drinking lunatics, they can't look after themselves. Hell, they don't have any guns. Hell, they can't defend themselves. We've been defending them for 1,000 years. We will march up there, and it's merely a matter of marching. We'll go up and we'll take back what's ours. What are you Canadians doing sitting on top of all of our stuff? That's where this is heading. I cite Tucker Carlson. I cite most of the American media. And this is not just a MAGA problem. Canada, understand this. If you understand anything, understand this. The United States do not view us the way we think they view us. They see us as a vassal state. They see us as merely just another part of their empire. They do not see us as equals. They want our money. They want our resources. They do not respect us. It's going to get worse. And by Americans, I'm talking about in totality. I'm not talking about individuals. And I do have, as I've said in past, half my family are Americans. We're very similar in an incredibly diverse number of ways. But this is a different era, and when people are panicking, when people are starving, when people are hurting, emotion tends to take control and takes over the driver's seat from considered thought and relationships with other countries. Anyways, just some thoughts for today as I go back and try to prune and purge my message feed, because it's amazing the number of bots that are popping up right now too. That might be another thing that we should pay attention to. How are you seeing these messaging in social media? I would love your comments about what you're seeing. If you think my perspective actually has any merit, please let me know. This will probably come out either tonight or tomorrow morning, because I'm still doing this off my phone until I figure out my technological butt. But regardless, I would appreciate your input. And for now, from the Borg Bunker on this Easter weekend, and I guess I'll have to say just Hugh Borg out, and have yourselves a great weekend, and probably try to get an article done by tomorrow. Anyways, you have a great day.